And as soon as Apple opened, I was paying attention to the previous day high, right? I was looking at that, and when it failed, right? So it started failing right before the open. So at that point, this is not a trade I am interested in taking. So that automatically gets canceled out. So then I just wait. Now, in order for me to take a trade, taking a trade anywhere, let's say in here, right? The high probability setup, keeping the market conditions in view with what's going on. So market is fairly bullish. And generally, if let's say if the market is going sideways or a market doesn't have enough momentum, this could be a pretty good like shorting opportunity to the downside. But keeping the market dynamics in check, when I saw this hold, I essentially just set a price alert because I'm not going to just sit there or stand, whatever it may be, for the price to get back there. I'm going to just set the alert. So the alert was set around here where essentially if the price takes over, price comes back to the 270 area, then I will be paying attention to that. And if I just go ahead and play the tape, this I'll do it in a 5 minute. So now there's no trade. And remember, I'm not even watching this anymore because I have no interest. My interest will only start from this area. So I'll see if the price rejects off of that level, then possibly we can look for a short towards this line here. But that's a low probability setup. In my head, I'm thinking I want a hold of this level for a move for continuation up. But which scenario is going to play out, that I have no idea. So that's something that I'll have to wait for price to show me that. So if I just play the tape and what's going on? Okay. So remember, I'm not watching this. I get an alert, right? Because it pierced the price. But at this point, since this is a 5 minute, right? So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive green candles. So that's a pretty strong push. Just by looking at this sort of price action, this tells me that there is some strength to the name. And this sort of candle, right? This sort of longer wick at the bottom, that shows the buyers really stepped in at exact trend that we had at the bottom. So that tells me there is a lot of buyers sitting for Apple. And they push the price higher. So at this point of time, I'm thinking, okay, I need a pullback. So can we get a pullback here? So let me just see. So I play, and we finally start getting our pullback, some meaningful pullback. But now we want to see some strong price action above the previous day high, right? I want to see some strong price action above previous day high. So let's see if it actually can hold. So let's just play the tape. And I'm looking for some strong signal of, oops, sorry. Okay. I'm looking for that strong buyer signal. And that candle right there, this one here, that's sort of like almost like just solidify what I was saying. That looks like a pretty strong push. So at that point of time, I'm thinking, okay, I need to start taking a trade. And this is on a 5 minute, but you don't want to be taking a trade on a 5 minute. So if I just break it down to 1 minute, because you want to get granular, you want to go a little bit so you can manage your risk a little bit better. So you see that flag that's forming, right? That's essentially a flag, and that's a pole. And that's a pretty strong flag. So essentially you would enter, right? Because you remember you got alerted to pay attention to this, right? So it's not like I'm watching this whole here. I'm only watching when I got alerted at the price target that I feel is fair to trade the stock in a very safe manner, right? I don't want to be gambling. So let's say even if I go long here, now my stop essentially becomes a low of that. And we need to now target some areas here. Okay, we need to target. And our first target, and there's no way to, I don't know, maybe there's a way, maybe you guys can let me know, but there's no way to hide the daily, or is there? I'm not even sure. But anyways, the target is the triple top. So you got one touch here, the second touch here, the third touch here. That's a straight triple top, right? So we're targeting, like I'm targeting that area, right? And not only that, you have to see this ascending wedge that's forming, right? So essentially, Apple tried to break out of it many times, and it failed in the past. But notice how price generally just hung around there. So that tells me that there is enough interest for a bull case, and that's all I am paying attention to. And that's exactly what I did. So if today was going to be that day where this actually pushes, then it could go to 275. That's the target I have in my mind. Do I know it's going to go to 275? No, I don't know. But I will just trade the price action. So that essentially gives me about 1 to 3 risk. Okay. But this turned out to be a very, very solid trade for me. But anyways, so let's just play it. So let's just play it, and I'll play this, and let's just speed it up because this is too slow. So let's just play it, and let's just see what happens. So it comes right back. Now if my thesis was wrong, this is where I should be getting stopped out, right? So this is the first test, right? Now, some people may say, "Oh, you should have waited for a retest." Yeah, sure. I should have waited, but the thing is, I'm not going to wait around if I see a clear indication of strong price action. If it wants to take me out, hey man, take me out, no problem. I will re-enter. If obviously the price, action sustains it, I will re-enter happily because this is a very good setup. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we're getting pretty close. So this is going to be a very strong test. Now, in my mind, right, there's two things happening at this point of time. I'm thinking, okay, this is the first test of our thesis. The previous day highs are going to get tested. So if this stock is truly bullish, this should hold, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing that's happening is, okay, if this holds, I am adding to my position. I'm adding to my position because now I need to go bigger size because my thesis seems to be, correct for the time being anyways. And those are the only two things I'm thinking. And the third thing is, if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. There's no emotions to that. I'll have to trade my plan. So anyways, let's just play and look. And another test, right? So this is another test. And in order for me, so this is where now I added right there. Okay. So when it held, I added right there. So now I'm going like, okay, I need to double down on this, but it goes up, it comes right back. And then I see a clear distribution that's happening here. You see this whole channel. It's just been trading in this channel. So there's a lot of accumulation that's happening around this price level. So I'm seeing that. I'm live looking at this sort of price action. So in my head goes, okay, clear accumulation going on. I have my stop underneath. But if this is really an accumulation phase, market makers understand there are stops underneath because this is getting pretty obvious. Anyone who wants to go long Apple, right? Where would they have this stop? Right underneath this candle. And so market makers may want to take those price levels out if the case be. So although I have my risk underneath there. But now, if it actually gets there, I want to see a candle closure, a proper closure underneath that. So does that mean that my loss will be a little bit more than the plan? Yes, it can be, but it is still a manageable loss according to the plan. If that happens, that this is where I'm thinking that, because this comes right back to test it. But let's just play the tape. So I play the tape and look what happened. I swear to God, like look what happened. And you know, although I just want to be clear, okay? Although I am replaying this, right? I want to assure you, I want to absolutely want to assure you that, I look at many stocks, I trade many stocks a day, and to be able to remember every single detail, like this is not like pre-planned. This what I'm doing is not pre-planned, and it's important for you to understand because the way I'm replaying this tape here, I am going in that mode of as I am trading live. The emotions that are, I am bringing out from inside, they're genuine emotions I felt when I was trading live, and I don't know if you can feel it in my voice, but I sort of got like this kind of stuff. It just feels so good, and it only feels good because with so much experience in this game, right? And I know, like, when I started out, or when anyone starts out, um, it takes time. I'm just telling you, it just takes time. As long as you're committed, as long as you put in the work and understand the market dynamics, these kind of things you can see it in real time. You can see it, and there's a nothing better feeling to catch those things before they happen. It's absolutely confidence builder feeling. I'm telling you, this is absolutely amazing, right? So look what happened. It took all the stops, right? But look at the reaction right after taking the stops, right? Boom, we're right back up. Okay, now this is looking even more interesting. So now I'm thinking, okay, all right, so thesis is starting to look better and better. We're back above the previous day's highs, right? Now, if I see any further consolidation here, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to add even more because I have to, right? You know, the thing is, like, if you're in a losing trade, right? If you're in a losing trade, don't you think about adding to your losers to average down, right? You think about it, or you do it too. I've been guilty of doing that, adding to my losers, averaging down. But how many of you actually add to your winners? I don't know about you guys, but I never used to do that. I would never add to my winners. And it was like, well, why? Why am I not adding to my winners? If I'm adding, and let me be clear, I don't add to my losers anymore, but through the phase of, becoming a consistent trader, I would add to my losers to average down. And sometimes averaging down would get me out of some tricky situations, and it has. But the day it did not, I would blow my account. So the only way, right? The way to grow your account, right, is to add to your winning positions as well, because those big wins will give you a lot. And that was the whole thesis behind putting this on my radar front and center, that I'm looking to add. If this actually holds this area, I'm looking to add, man. There's no doubt about that. Okay, let's play. And boom, another test. Okay, so this is another test, and remember, I'm looking to add if I see a strong bullish candle up there. But all these tests, and it's still not able to roll over, man, I'm telling you, when you see a lot of these, then you know something big is going to happen. Let's play the tape. And boom, okay? Boom, another test. So it's really testing you. And that another strong push. Now, this is where I go like, okay, clearly we're holding this area. Clearly there's a lot of accumulation going on. And I have identified that. Now I'm going to look to add even more. So I add even more around here. So let's play. And then when finally the trade worked out, let me just maybe increase the speed. And boom, so the trade started working in my favor, started to do really well, and my target is up there. I'm not like, I'm maybe taking some partials out here and there, and boom, there you go. We went to, was it 275, 273? Yeah. Boom, there you go. That's the trade. That was an amazing trade, right? So I took most of my positions out at that point of time, and I left some trailers for the earnings because you kind of have to understand like the what Apple was going to announce. There was a high probability that it was going to be pretty positive news. So I took my chance. It was a really small position, but I did take my chance, and it worked out pretty good. So I was able to take most of it out on this day, and then I left for the earnings, something for the earnings, and then you guys can see what happened on the day of earnings. So there you go, that's the candle. And all these levels that you see here, they were all done in my pre-market prep, and I was able to really use those levels to even further increase my account size. But more than the account size, I just want to be very clear. It's not so much about the account size, and I don't want to make it about the account size. I just want to make it that when you have enough skin in the game, then these kind of things, these kind of patterns, they just make sense, and you just have to trust it, right? And sometimes they will fake you out, sometimes they will take you out. That's fine, right? But when you know you have a good thesis on a trade, you got to double down on it. And don't double down on it if you don't have that experience, but just try to understand what I'm trying to show you. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two. And that's how I trade. That's all I do. I try to keep my trading as simple as possible. And if someone were to ask me how I can be more consistent, I would say just keep it as simple as possible. And we can talk about that a lot more. I don't want to just talk about it in this video as is. This is getting pretty long, but that could be a different video that I can make. But I would love to talk about this day here, which was today, or the day after the Apple's earning, how I traded this day. But so Apple was obviously a big winner, and the other big winner for today was Intel, and Intel is a complete lesson by itself that I would love to just cover it next time. But anyways, I'm going to just cut this video here short. This was a little bit different than what I have been posting, but I think if anyone of you are struggling, I just wanted to post this so maybe you can learn a thing or two. And I just want to say, just try to keep your trading as simple as possible. Usually simple approach is what gets you the best results, and I'm living proof of that. But anyways, until the next video, I'll see you guys. Peace.